I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. Of course, I'd heard stories before, but they always felt far removed, like they belonged to someone else's world, not mine. It was like staring at a lion in a cage. You know it's fierce, but there's a barrier. You're safe. You're distant. Then, life throws a curveball when you're least ready. My wife, my second wife, to be precise, and I have been together over 2 decades. Naturally, when we first met, she wasn't yet the confident, well-regarded teacher she's become. We met at a dance. And as these things go, I was instantly drawn to her. A slender woman with ocean blue eyes and a golden tan, like she'd just returned from a holiday. She had no shortage of admirers. Honestly, I think every other guy on campus was smitten. But somehow, she picked me. When I proposed, she said yes without hesitation. She smiled, leaned in, and kissed me so deeply that I could hardly think straight. Like any marriage, ours had its highs and lows, gentle moments of peace, but also the inevitable clashes, confusions, and disillusionments. But we hung on, like most do. A year into marriage, our son Lincoln was born. Now in his 20s, he's already thinking about starting his own family. It might sound odd, but Nova and I always had very different careers. She teaches at one of the top schools in town, while I've built my life in metallurgy. I'm a steelworker, foreman at the plant. But the contrast never drove a wedge between us. Somehow, we stayed in sync. I remember how we used to celebrate everything, our anniversary, the day we first met, even Valentine's Day, always with sweet cards and small tokens of love. It's funny how even in peaceful waters, something can lie beneath. For me, that hidden current was in the clear, intense blue of Nova's eyes. She'd become one of the most sought-after educators in the city. On top of her classroom duties, she tutored students privately at home. With my rotating shifts and the recent purchase of a Mitsubishi on credit, every extra bit of income counted. I'd never owned a car before, so you can imagine how much pride I took in keeping it pristine. I'd spend hours buffing it to a mirror shine. They say a child's behavior reflects the family's habits, and Nova mostly taught high school seniors preparing for college. She never really clicked with younger children. Older teenagers were her comfort zone. She'd made a name for herself. About 90% of her students passed their entrance exams. After 20 years together, I'd become used to the parade of students, girls with trendy outfits, boys with wild haircuts, and the usual group of rebels. It's the same in every school, right? So imagine my surprise when I opened the front door one afternoon and saw a tall man, probably in his 30s, standing there with a confident air. He looked like someone who had his life figured out. "Hi, is Nova home? Mind if I come in?" he asked. "And what's this about?" I said, eyeing him warily. "I'm here for tutoring," he replied. I must have looked skeptical, because he added, "I know, it probably seems odd for someone my age to be taking lessons." I tried to conceal my reaction, but I was genuinely confused. Learning languages at his age? Seems a bit late, or as we say at the factory, no point reheating porridge. I joked, "That's not really for you to decide, Anthony." Just then, Nova called softly from behind, "Come in, Thomas. Don't be shy." Still stunned, I stepped aside and let him in, closing the door behind us. Nova looked pleased to see him. She was dressed up, clearly having put effort into her appearance, wearing a snug skirt that emphasized her figure and a blouse with a neckline designed to draw the eye. I noticed how attentively he followed her with his gaze. I had told her before not to wear that top, but this was our home. I bit my tongue, kept the frustration inside, and slipped into my room, leaving the door just barely ajar. From the corner of my eye, I kept glancing toward our guest. And to be honest, something about him irritated me deeply. Still, I forced myself to ignore it, flipped on the Champions League match, and shut the door firmly, trying to drown out the German vocabulary drifting through the air. Eventually, I got used to his visits. He came often, always polite and never inappropriate. Occasionally, he brought flowers or a cake. I told myself I didn't mind. I convinced myself it was harmless. Besides, work had enough drama of its own to keep me preoccupied. That is, until one day in the factory's smoke break room, where the air is always thick with crude jokes and second-hand gossip, I overheard something that shook me. Apparently, someone's car had been splashed with acid in the lot. The damage? Estimated at 20 grand. One of the mechanics chimed in. They even carved a nasty word into his hood with a nail. My stomach dropped. All I could think about was my new car, how much it would cost to fix if something like that happened. Finding the right paint, a reliable body shop, it would be a nightmare. One of the welders mentioned his neighbor had just installed a security camera on his porch. Now those bastards can't get away with anything, he said. That stuck with me. Later that evening, I dropped by my friend Jackson's place. He's the tech-savvy type, always tinkering with devices. I figured he'd know something about home surveillance. He raised an eyebrow when I told him what I was looking for. Then he burst out laughing. Wow! And here I thought you were trying to bust Nova doing something shady, he joked, slapping his knees. All right, I've got just the thing. You know how to set it up? Of course, I said. Well then, Jackson continued, now serious. This one's perfect for your budget. Excellent resolution. Tiny too, you can stash it anywhere. He handed me a small box from his desk drawer. Just remember, when you first set it up, record something right away so it calibrates to your network and updates the firmware. Got it? Got it, I nodded, paid him, and headed home, still unsure what exactly I planned to do with it. Lincoln helped me install it that weekend. We picked a spot in the hallway for the time being. We'll shift it near the entrance later, he said. You'll be able to watch over your beloved car. And that was that. The camera blended in unnoticed. Life carried on. Then came an inspection at the factory, a whirlwind that left me completely forgetting about the camera. The anxiety of paperwork, fear of losing my position, it all passed eventually. It wasn't until a quiet Saturday night, when Lincoln and his wife dropped by, that we decided to finally check the footage. Let's see what this thing picked up, he said. Sure, why not? I replied, though I noticed something in my daughter-in-law's expression. A flicker of unease. It reminded me of the time she accidentally washed my pants, passport and all, because I'd left them in the pocket. Since then, I kept important documents well away from the laundry. So her subtle tension made me wonder. A few clicks later, we had the hallway footage playing on our big screen, the pride of my living room. As expected, it was mostly uneventful. I skipped ahead through the timeline, flipping through mundane clips like a stack of dull photos. But then, something flashed on screen that made my stomach twist and my breath hitch. Nova walked in the door. A few seconds later, Thomas followed. An hour passed. Then I saw him, completely nude, walking barefoot toward the bathroom. I froze. Nova rushed past him and locked herself inside. Lincoln and his wife said nothing. They quietly gathered their things, ordered a taxi, and left without a word. I was overwhelmed, boiling with anger, lost in disbelief. I pounded on the bathroom door, shouting to know what was going on. From behind the door, I heard sobs. My wife couldn't bring herself to face me. We've been together almost since that first session, she cried, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry, Lincoln. God may forgive you, I spat, bitter and burning. She wept louder. This has never happened before. You know how much we've been through. I don't know what came over me. It was like the devil himself walked in. He's young, attractive. I just couldn't stop myself. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep without him. I don't know why. It's like I was possessed. I didn't believe her. Not for a second. After all I've done for you, this is how you thank me? You couldn't have planned it better. Now I get to walk around with a pair of horns on my head. My voice caught. I couldn't finish the thought. Please, Lincoln, she begged, sounding frantic. We can try again, like none of this ever happened. Just give me one more chance. Something twisted inside me, a raw mix of pain and a faint flicker of yearning, but I shook it off. No, Nova. You need to leave. Go be with him. Think about what you want. File the divorce papers when you're ready. We're done. I walked out, my final words hanging in the silence, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again.